I talk a lot on this channel about how third-party Nintendo Switch ports, they're a crapshoot. We admittedly get a lot of weak ports on this system. Rush jobs, people looking to just milk a bit more extra money out of their games. But on the flip side, we've had plenty of good, even great ones as well. Doom is one I often tout as one of my favorites. Warframe, anything Panic Button, pretty much. More recently, God Eater 3 is one I thought was really top-notch, especially with its multiplayer elements. But now, I think you can take all those awesome ports we've gotten so far and throw them right in the trash. They're worthless now. Okay, I'm exaggerating, but I do think we may have a new king, honestly, of the Nintendo Switch port. Dragon Quest XI is a game that released quite a while ago on other platforms and has gotten extremely good reviews wherever it goes. It has engaging combat, fun characters and story. They really did a fine job of not making any of the main characters annoying. In JRPGs, at least myself, I almost always find one or more of the party members to be just too over the top or something like that. But I think most of the characters in this game are pretty awesome. They even managed to make the little kid character likable, which is always a difficult task. Granted, calling her a kid is kind of cheating, but I'm not going to get into spoilers. It has beautiful art design, enemies that are so unique and cute as hell. Every time I get in an encounter with a new enemy, I'm just dumbfounded at their designs. It's fantastic. This title already just has so much going for it, and then somehow, some way, it got even better. Way better. Like I mentioned, when it comes to Switch ports, it's often hit or miss. The first thing people typically notice are the visuals on Switch, and while yes, you're certainly going to notice, as with most ports, a decrease in resolution and detail, but this is one of those more anime, cartoony looking games, so these compromises aren't as noticeable as they are with many other games. Still looks fantastic in my opinion, and runs really smooth as well. It's an issue we've been having with a few games on the Switch lately, is frame rate. But this game runs very smooth, and of course you're making these compromises to have the game on the go, to play it portably, and it is a JRPG, which I always say is the genre best suited for the Switch because of how much time you end up putting in these games. It's great to be able to put even just a little bit of time in it whenever you can to chip away at it. But you get much more with this Switch version than just that. For one, the audio department got an upgrade in this version, receiving an orchestral soundtrack, which the series is already known for its amazing themes, so this just gives it an even bigger boost in that department, further setting it apart from other versions. This game also has bonus content that I believe was previously exclusive to the 3DS, like bonus missions that'll send you back to past Dragon Quest games. And of course, the big one, in what is probably the most awesomely unnecessary addition I've ever seen in a video game. This entire game is fully playable in 2D. These mad lads essentially built an entire 2D version of the game on top of this that plays much like the old school top-down RPGs. Your little pixelated party runs around, you've got a first-person look during battles. Feels like a totally different game, which again, it's like they basically did make a retro version of this entire game. I mean, think about this. Every character, every enemy, the overworld, the towns, all of it completely remade in this style. It's hard for me to get over. So what you do to access this is you just go up to any save point and choose to switch the game to 2D. Now, it does make you start at the beginning of a chapter in the game. You have to pick one, but you get these checkpoints fairly often, and you can choose the one you're currently in, so it isn't as on the fly as many would have hoped. It's not like just one press of the button, but I don't think it's something people are going to want to be switching back and forth from that regularly, because it is a dramatic shift. I mean, it's like a different game. So I think more so they're going to want to just see certain sections in 2D, or maybe even do a full playthrough of the game in 2D after their 3D one. Regardless, it is such an awesome feature that they totally didn't have to add in, but it just makes this version of the game that much better because they did. Honestly, what has been one of my favorite things to do playing through this game is to go through a section and then replay it in the 2D. Like when I enter a new town and get a few cutscenes in that, being able to go through it again in 2D, it's just so cool. I can't praise this enough, just taking a phenomenal game and making it that much better. And I also want to mention there is a little story about this game's Switch release that I think may have a bit to do with why we got all these features. On a recent stream celebrating the game's launch, the team mentioned that they had fulfilled their promise to Satoru Iwata, the late former president of Nintendo. You may remember that back when people didn't even know about the Switch, when it was still codenamed the NX, Dragon Quest XI was actually one of the earliest games to be confirmed to be coming to the system. And apparently that is because Iwata himself urged them to bring the game over. He felt this was a title that would be right at home on the Switch, and shocker, he was right. Which actually makes me wonder if that is part of why they decided to go, again, so above and beyond with this port. Especially when you consider this is the newer system with a smaller install base. Not only refusing to cut content like we do see a lot with Switch ports, but adding all this extra stuff, making the Switch version of the game as comparable as possible, I believe, with the other versions on much more powerful hardware. Square Enix and Nintendo have a very storied history, and it sounds like this is a title that it was very important to Iwata to get on the system. So yeah, maybe they did. Maybe they just wanted to do him proud. But yeah, no matter how you slice it, we are still finding new reasons to be thankful that Nintendo had Iwata as a president all this time later. And if that isn't a sign of a job well done, then damn, I don't know what is. So yeah, I can't commend this port enough. We're dealing with a phenomenal game just to begin with. Dragon Quest XI, no matter what console you play it on, I think is a worthwhile experience. I know with these longer JRPGs, people have to kind of justify not only the money aspect, as with every game, but the time investment. It's a lot, especially this time of year. I know I sound like a broken record, but it's just like there are so many games coming out every week right now as we head towards the holidays, so you've got options, which means you got to make tough decisions. But this is one of the few instances that I truly believe this AAA third-party game is best on Nintendo Switch. With how good it looks, runs, and all these extra features, I think it blows all other versions of the game out of the water. For you Switch owners who are JRPG fans, I know this isn't a genre for everyone, but for those people for sure, I consider this game to be a must-buy. Even if you already own it on another system, consider the double dip for that 2D mode. Seriously, I think it's worth it. And for people who maybe just dabble in RPGs, like if these maybe aren't typically your types of games, but this looks interesting to you, I also recommend you check it out. To me, this is indeed the best AAA third-party port the Switch has seen to date. You're getting what I think, again, is the best version of the game with some significant added features. This 2D mode, I can't stress it enough how cool it is. And for that reason, I really do hope people support it, because that's what we always argue, right? If these companies, they want to get our money, they gotta make something worth spending our money on. Well, Dragon Quest XI's for the Nintendo Switch goes above and beyond in that respect. Anyway, with that, this video's a wrap. Let me know your thoughts on Dragon Quest XI's in the comments. Are you currently playing the Switch version of this game? And how do you think it stacks up against other ports we've seen on the system? Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed this discussion of Dragon Quest XI for Nintendo Switch. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing. And if you want to keep the conversation going, hit me up on Twitter, @JohnnyZakari, and join my Discord, ChiGuy and Friends. Link to both in the description below. And as always, thanks for watching.